Guys, what is going on in crypto right now? Yeah, Bitcoin's pulling back a little bit. Nvidia, that's what we're here to talk about today. But more importantly, we've just had an update, an important update about the Coinbase Premium Index. Now, that's something that I've been talking about for a little while. 2 days ago, it was, oh no, the Coinbase Premium has gone to its lows. Now, all of a sudden, it's now showing green, which means investors are actively buying Bitcoin. In today's live, what I'm going to do is just break down the logic of how you should really use this index to help you understand if people are actually buying, or should I say, are the right people buying the Bitcoin or not. So what we're going to do is going to break into what's going on with Bitcoin. Nvidia is gapping up at its all-time highs. Now, that speaker event itself was a little bit interesting. The new graphics card, the 5000 series, is going to be doing some pretty interesting things. You've got the 580, I think it is, that is currently coming in at $550 when you've got a 4090 at $1,499, which the 551 can actually do exactly the same thing as the 490. What are they doing? But we're going to dive into what's going on with Nvidia right now because there's quite a few sell calls coming into play. And they're pretty hefty, which could mean that Nvidia could be pulling back. So investors are responding positively to this key speaker event. But nonetheless, we want to see if Bitcoin does have the capacity to try and mark up going into today's trading session. With that being said, we're going to be diving into options. We're going to look at Ethereum. We're going to look at Solana. So any of you guys that are trading those assets, stay in the live so I can break those price action areas for you. But more importantly, guys, we've got data coming out very shortly. We've got the ISM manufacturing data being rolled out. And then, of course, the JOLTS job openings. That's going to be a very interesting one. So if you are new, welcome to Traders Reality. My name is Tino. Hit the like button, subscribe, and all that fun and games. We're back to it now. New Year's is out the way. Christmas is done. Let's get on with what we've got to find out about Bitcoin. So let's just bring out that flavor right now. They're favoring dollar. That's a problem. Now, you may have been hearing about Trump and this various speculation on what he's actually going to do with the tariffs. He's only going to be focusing on certain things, which naturally is going to fuel the dollar's rise. And hedge fund traders are actively betting on that. So that's a little bit of a problem for us if we do see the dollar itself making a move to the upside. Quickly going over to the dollar itself, you can see dollar futures, and of course the dollar is currently consolidating sideways at these significant levels right now. The euro itself has taken a bit of a smack, but it's not really doing too much. Got a nice little M formation coming into play right there. Possibly euro could be looking to pull back. I mean, if we just quickly go over to the CME in terms of implied rates, you can see that this was yesterday around 1.4 and 1.6. No, it's actually 1.4. It's now actually gone down again, which tells me that the investors or hedge fund managers are going to be getting less of a return when they invest in the euro. So in other words, borrow dollars to effectively put it into euro and try and take advantage of the implied differential rate. So how they're going to profit from the difference in the interest rates. Now, with that being said, guys, going into the topic as well, Nvidia. I mean, he spoke about cars. He spoke about a computer. I mean, everyone's favoring this company. I mean, you've got to remember, Microsoft wants to invest around 80 billion into AI data centers. And who do you think they're going to be getting the tech from? Nvidia, which is, it just goes to show that this stock is just going to continue to mark up, ladies and gentlemen. At the open right now, you can see it's currently trading around 152.99 roughly. In the pre-markets, it's at an all-time high, and it's done a great job of breaking this area. But what we want to know is if investors are actually favoring this key speaker event, is it going to be looking promising? Because you've got to remember, there are guys that buy the graphics cards because they want to just effectively get hold of the latest graphics card. Then you've got the scalpers, the guys who are quickly buying and selling the graphics cards and doing all that business over there. So my concern about it all is this. If I just go over to the options market, where are we at with my options? Here we go. So in front of you, we've had these sell options coming into play. So sell calls coming in around 10 million at the top side right there at the close of yesterday. We had a million, just over 1.7, then 5 million nearly there, and then 3 million and 2.7 million on Nvidia sell options, which is a little bit of a cause for concern because, you know, why are these guys going into options right now and selling. This stock is going to not, it's just not going to stop, in my opinion. You've already got this madness about all the revenue they're going to be making. Where was it? Here we go. Microsoft Corp had in their prior week announced plans to spend $80 billion on its AI data center build out, much of which will be spent with Nvidia. So quite frankly, Nvidia has got the revenue coming in, and that's only going to be beneficial for all the shareholders of Nvidia, which explains why you've seen it consolidating inside of this range. And now, in my opinion, I do believe that Nvidia is going to now start to go back to trading, and we're going to start seeing some nice movement in Nvidia overall. Now, with that being said, let's just quickly go over and have a look at this story that I'm talking about regarding Bitcoin and the Coinbase Premium Index. So check this out. So bullish Coinbase Premium Index. It's bullish here now, right? It says here that it completely reverses course and is now back in the green. What do we mean? Well, we're just talking about this chart right here. Now it is back in the green. However, just be very careful with it, guys. Okay. If you look at this and really study it, you will find that every time it goes into the green, we do see some movement. However, it doesn't last too long, and it ends up going into the red. Okay, which tells you that retail's jumping in on this move to the upside, and then they're going to end up paying the price and Bitcoin comes down again. When we look at Bitcoin in terms of liquidations, you can see right now that we've got, well, in the last hour, 2,130 traders have just been liquidated, but you've got a pool of liquidity down here between the 100,100 zone, where there's roughly around, I'd say there's what, 246, there's just nearly $1 billion worth of, there's nearly $1 billion worth of long liquidations inside of this range, roughly there or thereabouts. Okay, and that takes us all the way down to the 100K mark. And then you've got this massive pull down here where you've got around $213 million worth of long liquidations at 98,150. Now, it is kind of promising in terms of Bitcoin because you've got, look, good inflows on the ETF itself. When we go over and have a look at the ETF, you can see that BlackRock has got around 548,000. So that was an increase from yesterday at 547,000. Going into the actual the actual blockchain data about the buying and the selling, and I'm not really seeing anything significant. They always seem to be buying and selling anywhere between 150 to 300 Bitcoin at a time. So it's nothing that I'm too concerned about. But when we actually go back into the balances itself, look, BlackRock is doing fine with this. It does show that investors are deciding to hold on to the Bitcoin ETF because of the promise of what it's going to become in the future. Now, naturally, what we really want is we want people in Wall Street to come to the terms and idea that volatility in crypto is something you can get used to, okay? And Wall Street needs to get used to that volatility in crypto, which is why when we see Bitcoin making a significant move to the downside, 90% of us are going to be turning to see if the ETF has actually had any sell-offs. We're going to have a look at other aspects to it all and try and say, well, what's going to be causing this move to the downside? Is it going to force investors to get out? Again, bringing it back to the Coinbase Premium Index. Even though this is showing now that it's turned positive, it would say that investors right now are buying Bitcoin, okay? Now, when we go over to Bitcoin's price action, you can see it's currently trading at 1.47, minus 1.47 for the day. And we've effectively got this little red vector candle right here and a potential test of the 50 EMA. Now, the data that comes out very shortly, which is at 3 p.m., is the ISM PMI services and, of course, the JOLTS job openings. Both bouts of data are projecting to be a positive read for the dollar. Okay, so if this data on the ISM services comes in and says that everything is all good and it does show a reading of 53.5, that is expansion. So a reading above 50 means expansion in the economy, specifically speaking, the services PMI. Now, going into the JOLTS job openings, this is debatable. I don't even like talking about the JOLTS job openings, but it's showing that there is a decline in the actual job availability. But quite frankly, most investors are going to be waiting for the non-farm payrolls and the unemployment rate going into Friday. So Friday is going to be a very interesting day. Okay. Now, with that being said, quickly going over into this logic on the Bitcoin Premium Index itself, I just want to warn you guys this. Whenever it goes to green, that's where you need to correlate price and say, okay, who's buying at this point? And should it be a point that I should be buying too? Well, you've got to understand this. Look at the chart. When it was green up here, everyone was buying. And then that effectively led to price coming down, which ended up going in the red. And everyone's like, oh no, Bitcoin is dropping, I'm selling. And then when it peaked at the lows right here in the last 12 months, everyone was selling, and then Bitcoin decides to make a recovery. You can use the Coinbase Premium Index to really determine medium-term highs and lows, okay? So you can really use it to understand the psychology of why investors are going to go into crypto and start buying it, specifically from Coinbase. But what you've got to go in, if you can study this, guys, it will really serve you. For every time you see the actual Coinbase Premium Index showing a negative reading, that's when you really need to pay attention to buying Bitcoin, okay? When it's green, if you are in a position already and it goes to green, that's when you should consider wanting to sell, okay? So that's how you really want to be using this chart right here. So granted, the article right here is very favorable for Bitcoin. It's saying the Coinbase Premium Index turned positive for the first time in 2025. Bruv, it's only 7 days into 2025. Like, come on, don't go on like it's been a long time. It's only 1 week into the markets and it's turned positive for the first time. Problem is that when this does turn positive, it could give us a bit of an indication that retail's coming in. And then if the market is actually showing signs of rolling over, then we could effectively see Bitcoin coming back down and really shaking out those investors and forcing them to get out of positions. And then the market then ends up returning back up. Now, logic would say that you'd be expecting Nvidia to pump Bitcoin and everyone's optimism on Nvidia to really bring Bitcoin back up. Well, Bitcoin is still in a good trend upwards. Think about it. Go to the daily time frame, and all it's doing is recovering this green vector candle. Now, what you've got to say to yourself is this. As a holder, you've got to say to yourself, right, how do I approach this green vector? How do I approach the day with regards to how Bitcoin is behaving right now? Holders, you all need to be monitoring how Bitcoin behaves from these two areas right here. This area will determine if the move up is going to sustain itself. Now, everyone's talking Bitcoin's going to slump, it's going to go down, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. Listen, it's irrelevant. And I will say this. Yesterday, I was called out on Twitter, on X, about saying Bitcoin, it was wrong for me to say that Bitcoin, any coin outside of Bitcoin is a meme coin. And I do apologize for saying it, but it's the truth. Actually, I don't apologize for saying it, but it's an opinion. Never mind. But Bitcoin it reigns supreme, okay? If when you get, I'm not even going to go into it, but just let me know in the chat. Any coin outside of Bitcoin is a meme coin. Now, this is not alienating or attacking anyone who has altcoins, okay? We just go over and have a look at altcoins as such. We go over to, I do believe that we are in, it's 60%, there you go, 60% in terms of the altcoin season, okay? So we're heading towards 60. So Bitcoin principally coming down, altcoins making a bit of a move, but the problem is Bitcoin goes down, everything goes down. So that's what I'm saying about this altcoin season story. The only thing that I recommend that you do if you are playing the altcoins is you focus on altcoins that do have the volume, because you're going to get better outlook on whether you should hold the coin or not based on the volume of purchases and sales that are happening with the asset. Forget the technology. If Bitcoin is dropping, I mean, Bitcoin's great technology. XRP's great technology. Ethereum, great technology. But if people are offloading on that, everything's coming down, that the technology isn't going to sustain itself in the sense where it's going to keep people holding on to it. However, what good thing we do have is as follows. Looking at Bitcoin's price right now on the depth of market and the order flow, you can see that we've got a big bid at 100,000, 100,250. Someone's going to buy $30 million worth of Bitcoin, and that has not been in the book too long. This is why when prices are going down, you've got to really focus on what's happening. Because if you're saying, oh my God, they're selling the Bitcoin, no, they're not. They're merely going to someone who is prepared to pay $30 million of Bitcoin. That's 300 Bitcoin right there. Now, it doesn't sound like it's much in the grand scheme of things. I mean, if you just go and have a look at Bitcoin right now in terms of the depth of market over here, you can see that Bitcoin is currently trading at the value area low, and we've not really had that much activity in this area. So naturally, if Bitcoin's going to come down, you can see these bids. You've got 419 bids right there, and that's been added to the book itself. And then we've got nothing much happening down below. But of course, news announcements will naturally then encourage Bitcoin's price to make a move to the upside, or should I say downside, if the news is favorable for the US dollar. But when you see an order like this in the book, you can tell that there's someone eyeing to get Bitcoin on the cheap. Like I said, for the holders, this area is very important. I want you to split this vector candle right here. And if this is the midpoint of the vector candle, the logic says that this is where price will want to try and find support, even if it doesn't. As part of the hybrid system, and one of the strategies, which is the block principle, you've got a block right here, which is where price has made a move to the upside. You are now relying on the idea that in one instance, the market is going to mark up from this point, okay? So that effectively means there are two areas that you want to focus on. This area right here is the top range of the actual candlestick of this block, which is this green vector candle, okay? This right here is the lower range. Whichever range it spends more time at is where you really want to pay attention. Let me explain. If you see price holding the top band of this block, which effectively is the 102,256, and it's not breaking higher, but it's not going lower. If we're in line with a move to the upside, all you've got to wait for is the lower timeframes to suggest that they're getting ready to mark away from that point. So you realistically want to say to yourself, okay, if price can hold at the top range of this block here, I'm expecting price to go higher. You take the trade, you go spot, and you are effectively trading towards the next area of imbalance, which currently sits at this violet vector candle zone, okay? However, if they come all the way down towards the lower range of the block and you're trying to work out whether you should be buying or not, you've got to wait and see if price can sustain the low of the block, which currently sits in a point of roughly around 98,473. So take that information, go over to the book and have a look. And you can see you've got a guy here that wants to buy $30 million worth of Bitcoin at 100,250. So we know there are participants inside of this range. 20 million at 100,000. There's $50 million worth of capital going into the market at these price points. Logic says that if it were to go and sweep that point, people will start to get interested in that price range, which logic does say that if they do mark it down below the 100K point, and they're staying away from these lows, the idea is that the market's memory is being triggered. So effectively what we're saying here is the market's memory is being triggered inside of the 100K mark. That's what we're looking for right now, okay? So if Bitcoin's price does actually continue to go lower, the market will be opening in 10 minutes time. If it does actually go down, pay attention to this area here, because that area is telling you where there is commitment from retailers, from everyone who wants to try and pick up Bitcoin on a discount, okay? Because 100K, I mean, come on. The idea of it being expensive or not doesn't matter anymore. People have a trajectory for Bitcoin to keep going higher. So technically, there is no value in Bitcoin. But apparently, XRP is now recognized as a store of value. Well, that's debatable. Any questions? Can you check the crypto total with total three without Bitcoin, Ethereum? I certainly can. Actually, I need to check something else. Where are we at? My trade right now. I'm currently in shorts on Bitcoin and Ethereum, and we're doing all right for the day. So far, so good. We are, okay, that's a nice trade right there. 2.5K on Bitcoin on our short from 101,326. I shared this short this morning. It was a very fast play. I don't know if the guys managed to take it. And then we've got just shy right now, 3,652 on Ethereum. So we're doing around $4,651 for the day. I'm probably going to close off the trade beforehand because I don't like leaving risk on. I don't care even if it does collapse to the downside. But let me just quickly go over and have a look at the depth chart itself, or the market, the total market cap, just to put things into perspective for the altcoin players. Where are we at? Where are we at? Total, here we go. So this is with the exception of Bitcoin and Ethereum and where we are right now with altcoins. So as it stands on the 4-hour time frame, most altcoins have been moving away from the 50 EMA, but now we're starting to see that there is a few of them that have actually cut below the 5 and 13 EMA. Now, this is what you got to pay attention to. Structurally, there are a lot of altcoins that are currently going into a consolidation range, which is this price range right here, okay? I would naturally be expecting that if Bitcoin and Ethereum do decide to roll over, then there is a good chance that all the altcoins that are, now hear me out on this one, all the altcoins that are trading right now above the 50 EMA, okay, let them come down, let the overall market bring itself down, then all the altcoins that are currently at the 50 EMA, pay attention to them. Why? Because what's going to happen is if they're holding at the moving averages, okay, and there's not been that much volatility, yet you've got the leaders who are actually trading above the moving average, in principle, there's going to be a reversion back into the mean. So they're going to be consolidating out of those and then going into other altcoins where they feel like they could grab an opportunity from, okay? So what you're looking for is the altcoin market to try and correct back down in towards this area here, which would then tell you that all the altcoins that have already made a move to the upside are now correcting back to the 50 EMA. If prices do decide to bounce from those ranges, all the altcoins that were already at 50-day moving averages and that haven't done any volatility in this move up, principally will be the new leaders, and the guys that have already absorbed the move to the upside will determine if they are going to continue from that point and principally test the idea of a rise, retrace, continuation, okay? So in my opinion, that's how I would be looking at altcoins, but I don't entertain any altcoins with low volume in the sense of market cap. I'm only looking at like BNB, XRP, Ethereum, Solana, all the real big altcoins as such. They're the ones that I'm really paying attention to. Now, the thing is about altcoins is this, guys, as well. You can exploit altcoins because you only need Bitcoin to move a little bit and even Ethereum to move up ever so slightly. And you can go to an altcoin where it can just shoot up like 4 or 5%. If you can find those gems, always use light leverage so that you can put that logic to the test. So when you start seeing Ethereum moving up, go and find the altcoin that does look like it's consolidating, because if Ethereum's moving up, Bitcoin's moving up, and that altcoin isn't doing anything, as a leveraged opportunity, you could exploit that and it could actually bring you the flavor and you make a bit of cash. Granted, you could also lose. So make sure you're using at least an asset or an altcoin that does have a decent market cap, so you're not bullied by the market as such. Okay, cool. Now, any other questions, ladies and gentlemen, when we go back into it? Let's go have a look at Bitcoin. Where's it at right now? Bitcoin's not doing too bad. I mean, look, this is the range that we're talking about right now. We are looking at the vector candle recovery region as such. Any other questions, guys? Have we liked the stream? 300 of you are joining in. Where's the trade? Got to keep an eye on the trade. See, Nvidia's not real. I've got to wait until the market actually opens because there is an imbalance below on XO charts that I want to be very careful of with Ethereum and Bitcoin, because they can just simply shoot back up. Just going over into the bids and the offers, that bid down there, I will be so bloody surprised if they do not take that bid right there. That is unbelievable if they don't take it. It doesn't necessarily have to be taken now, but the volatility of the market could suggest that they could be coming into play with it. Maybe. Be very interesting to see if Bitcoin were to do that. What's good, Baron? What is good? So you are saying that altcoins is a little delayed. So SOP, it takes time before. So SOP, what does SOP mean? SOP, what the hell does that mean? Coins, so SOP, it takes time before altcoins follow along. Listen, see altcoins as, it's no different to the stock market, okay? The stock market works like, I just need to keep an eye on Bitcoin's depth. Wait there, and I'm going to explain this to you, okay? In the stock market, there's a thing called leaders and laggards, okay? Inside of the stock market, there's also industries and sectors, right? So look at the biggest sector right now, tech. If you've got Nvidia making a big move to the upside, right? Sometimes what happens is, you guys may or not know this, there's rotation in small cap stocks, big cap stocks. Now, the usual consensus says that if Nvidia is making a big move to the upside, big money is going into Nvidia, okay? Then you go and have a look at small cap stocks, you don't really see that much activity happening. Your best bet is to stick with Nvidia. However, sometimes when Nvidia goes up, so do these small cap stocks go up, but they go up much faster, all right? Sometimes you might see Nvidia not going anywhere and small caps are going up. So there's a rotation in investors' approach. That means if they're going to small cap stocks, they are effectively favoring the shorter term. If they're going into the longer term, then they're going to be going into the big cap stocks, because big cap stocks, technically, they don't move as volatile as what the small cap stocks move, okay? So that means they're going to be prolonging their holding period. The same principle can apply for cryptocurrency. If you've got a big altcoin with massive volume and you're seeing that making a move, depending on the chain that we're talking about, then you're going to say to yourself, okay, this altcoin is based on the Solana chain, or this altcoin is based on the BNB chain. If BNB is making a pump to the upside, then logic would say to me that they're going to want to try and pump this altcoin. Now, depending on the market cap itself, it's going to reveal whether or not that coin is going to make the move and follow what BNB is doing. But sometimes that might not be the case. Take it back to the example of small cap stocks, big cap stocks in the stock market. Fundamentally, it's still the same thing. All right. And you've got to try and work out which altcoin is going to serve that principle first. Okay, so just keep an eye out on it. Tina, if the dynamic of the market changes, do you have to adapt and change your strategy, or should you stick to it through losses and get a larger picture? Listen, man, the hybrid system, and if you haven't done so already, guys, just get over to the Traders Reality website. There is a free course on there. It's called Breaking Down the Hybrid System. It's going to give you everything you need to know about the hybrid system. It's got several modules about M levels, vectors that I'm talking about. The example of the block trade principle, that's for the guys in the Platinum membership. And if you haven't become part of the Platinum membership, get yourself involved, because there are some very technical traders of the hybrid system in that community. You get access to a Discord. It's right there. Platinum membership right there. You get access to a Discord where fellow hybrid system traders, and of course with the depth of market as well with exo charts, they're all in there breaking down the logic of the hybrid system. But if you are completely new, take this free course. It breaks everything down, and that you are in line with what we're talking about in the live streams. So the hybrid system, does it adapt? Do you have to adapt? Of course you do. But the hybrid system is based on the market maker methodology. In other words, the business model. We understand that they're going to run to liquidity, and they're going to say, okay, let's just take liquidation heat map, for example. Okay. When you're borrowing money on leverage, okay, you are effectively borrowing, which is where your funding rates come into play. Okay. Right now, there's a lot of people that are in longs that could get liquidated because they've borrowed money from the exchanges so they could take advantage of leverage. That money, in principle, belongs to the liquidity provider. Okay. That liquidity provider is going to come back for that liquidity. Now, you might say, yeah, but Tina, what about all the way down there at 97,000? What about the liquidity at 90,000? What about the liquidity at 19,000? They're going to come back for that. Well, if price gets close towards it, logic would say that it's going to get towards that point and take that liquidity. Okay, which is why most of the liquidity providers or dealers, they have certain strategies. And you say to yourself, well, how do they make their money? Well, the way they make their money is they make sure that they prevent themselves from being, or should I say, deviating away from delta risk. Okay, so they try and maintain delta neutral. So regardless of where the price is, if they've hedged themselves in such a way, then they can absorb the move. In other words, if price is going up and market maker is favoring shorts, he's got a futures position which is short. He might then say, right, that short position could be compromised very shortly. Okay, so I need to go on to spot, which in principle is a gamma negative approach. So you go on spot, you buy the asset, but in the futures market, you are shorting it. And that's where you see these big deviations in price, up or down. Wait a second, I just need to be very careful here. Yeah, I'm closing off my trade. I'm not interested in that. I don't want to nurse it at all. Can't be bothered. Can't be bothered with that. 2.5, nearly 3K. I'm fine with that. But yeah, so if they're nursing that trade, okay, then you'll look at the volatility and say, well, it's just shot up. What could I be expecting? Well, if they are originally short, they will move away aggressively, okay, from that point. Or if it does continue to go up and it does look like that they are short, then they will go on spot. So pay attention to spot volumes, because dealers, market makers will use spot to get to delta neutral as fast as they can, or as soon as they can. Because if there was an article not so long ago that mentioned that there were a dealer that had a 3,000 contract position on Ethereum for a short, okay? Now, price was going up. So in order for that dealer to protect himself, he had to go long on spot to protect that position. So whilst he's profiting from the move to the upside and everyone's like, yeah, Bitcoin to the moon and what have you, then that'll be a perfect time for them to unwind positions and maybe even add to the play. And then the market ends up coming back down again from all the leverage and all the optimism in crypto. it just brings it back down again. So just take that into consideration when you are trading. It might sound a little bit difficult to understand, but the hybrid system gives you that in the sense of vector candles. So you can see a big move up like so, and then of course they're bringing it back down again, and we're now waiting to see if there is a moment in the chart that they're going to then suggest price is going to continue back up by the principle of the market's memory inside of the vector candles. So get access to all of that information on the Traders Reality website. All right. Nvidia hunting the yeah, I may have closed off that trade too soon, but I'm not interested, man. I'm not interested in playing around with that. Where was it? Yeah, what was that? Yeah, for me, it doesn't bother me at all. Quick trade, fine. But it could continue to go down as well, okay? But I know that I'm looking for something else now. I've taken something from the market. Now I'm looking for the next thing. That's why I never think there is an opportunity missed. Never. I never think that. The same way I see price going down is the same way it's getting prepared to come back up again. They will move away from the VWAPs. They'll move down to the vector candles, and then they just bring it back up again. It doesn't matter to me. I know that I can find those opportunities later on. Okay. Any questions, guys? Yen carry trade, Tino. What are you thinking about the 25th of January? 25th of January, I'm guessing that's when we've got a Bank of Japan meeting. Let me just put that into perspective. Where are we at with that? Hold on. Come on. What are you doing? Okay, I haven't got it up. It's not coming up in the calendar as such. However, wait, there. I've just got a question, guys. I'm going to talk about the carry trade in a second. Give me a sec. Hold on. I've been trading MES futures contracts 6 months, and I've seen a decent return. Debating on changing over to ES contracts. Don't. Any input of a minimum balance I should have before switching. Don't go over yet. Don't. All right? Because especially with the MES futures contracts, you've really got the flexibility to add to a position, take away. You can really scale in with trading the micros, okay? When you start going over to the minis and trading normal contracts, that's when you're going to start getting slapped on what could have been profit that you have made over the last 6 months can get wiped in one day. Trust me, I know. You've seen the live streams before where I've told you about the days I've lost. So get very careful. Don't change it, okay? They say you need there's a million ways to make $1 million. Once you find the one way, why are you changing it? You don't need to change it. Stick to what you're doing. Build yourself up a massive volume of execution, and you're used to that asset. Don't now step into the environment where you're going to then pay more attention to your balance than the actual trading itself. Eliminate having to focus on your balance, because that's when you start trading emotionally, and that's when you start saying, I don't like this. And then what you've done in 6 months gets wiped out in a day, even in an hour. Trust me, it happens. Any other questions? Okay, yeah. So wait a second. So if you are to any exchanges, same as BTCC, I trade on BTCC. Okay, and anyone that does join BTCC with the link that we've got in the actual description, you get benefits. You get, I believe, you do get a 10%. Yeah, you get a 10% reimbursement on your capital. But you don't need VPN for anyone in the United States. That is, you do not need VPN for this. All right, so that's good news because cryptocurrency is about decentralization, you know? So yeah, go check out BTCC. It is our preferred exchange. And this is where, yeah, it's starting to get a bit interesting because of the news announcements itself, right? The market is open right now. Let me just quickly go over and navigate where NASDAQ is. NASDAQ is holding out right there. Nvidia, where you at? Yep, Nvidia is gap down. So it's moved down, sorry. Okay, so here we are. Right there. So the gap up has now been instantly closed. It's going to be look, man, it's going to be a very interesting day in the markets. It really will. But just be very cautious because of the news announcements that's coming out very shortly on the ISM and the JOLTS job openings. Just to put it into perspective for you all, just going over to the volatility index, starting to base out. They might want to get some hedging going off. Let me just quickly go over to the volatility index over here, which is the inverse of that, the short-term futures ETF. I was talking about this morning with the platinum members. So as long as that is okay, well, that's going down. That could be going down. That might be a problem with the markets overall. Quickly going over to the yen. Listen, you're not going to really see that much happening with the yen. I guess it's all going to be based on data. But the main thing for me, guys, is Donald Trump. Once Donald Trump, I mean, I closed off that short quite despicably wrong. I mean, look what's going on right now. Jeez, look at that. Look at that. I closed off that short way too soon. Did I? What, for a quick flip? Nah, never mind. It's all good. We know exactly what we're looking at. Very, very short. Oh, wow. Nah, I wouldn't. Yeah, never mind. Doesn't matter. But now Bitcoin is working its way lower. Have they picked up that order? Hold on. Did they just pick it up? Come on. I hope they picked up that 30 mil. That was a nice little stop run there. Did they pick it up? Come on. Nah, they didn't take it. They did not take it. Never mind. Never mind. So, yes, okay, Bank of Interest rate with Japan. Yeah, apparently they are going to increase the interest rates. So from now until then, you know, get ready for volatility, because anything that the back of Bank of Japan increasing their interest rate, the market is going to react to that. Everything will slump and then it will just shoot back up again. So just get ready for that volatility on the 25th of January. But nonetheless, we'll talk about that as and when. Okay. With that question, if unemployment rate is 4.3% or above, do you think Bitcoin will correct? Yes. Why? No. If the employment rate itself goes down, then Bitcoin will correct. But if the unemployment rate goes up, then that's going to be justification for Bitcoin to go up, because then it means that the interest rates will be cut. Okay. And that's good news, because the yield on the dollar is going down. That means naturally we're going to put our money into assets appreciating against the US dollar, because the yield on the dollar is negative, or it's coming down. Okay, cool. Well, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I closed off too soon, but we made some money today. Now we walk away. Get ready for the next play. That's the thing. No bias. I don't care what it does. I took something, could shoot back up if all I care, but that's the name of the game. All right, I'm gutted. Mad love and respect, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be talking to you all later on tonight, just to give you an update on what's going on with Bitcoin. Take care of yourselves, gang. Mad love and respect. Peace.